Welcome to Torah Smash, the podcast for nerdy Jews, where our lives of Jewish learning collide with our love of nerd culture. In each episode, we discuss what we lovingly call a Torah Smash, which we have defined as a beautiful collision of one thing from the world of Judaism with another from nerd culture. I am RDY, and joining me today are
Barak Malkin.
Ethan Lane Miller.
Good to see you both. It feels like it's been a long time, but it's really only been 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
What a summer we've been having, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Oh
It's been
man.
so
I mean, at this
hot.
point, like camp is winding down. It feels so great, and definitely
End of July. So much has happened. This is backdated, friends. We are in mid-June, so if anything we just said was extremely offensive, we apologize.
I think I was right.
Nuclear winter happened.
Yeah, if something terrible happens and we're like, wow, what a crazy time that was. Like, I want to be mindful that, like, there's been a lot of bad stuff recently.
I like the idea that we could be in a nuclear winter and Barak still edited and produced this podcast.
Yeah.
Something to give us joy during these dark times.
We have a schedule that I have to keep. It's every other Wednesday. This has to get out.
Oh man.
It doesn't matter. Okay. Today, I want to talk about one of my favorite sections of Jewish text called Pirkei Avot. Pirkei Avot means the chapters of the fathers, literally translated, but it is often translated as like the ethics of our ancestors, because it is an ethical discussion among rabbis that they're kind of sort of having with each other, but really having over the course of generations of rabbis. The very first chapter of Pirkei Avot begins with Moses receiving the Torah from God, then passing it to Joshua, who passes it to the elders, who pass it to the prophets, who pass it to the men of the great assembly, and they offer a teaching. And then they move to Shimon the righteous, who was one of the last of the great assembly, and he gives a teaching. And then his colleague gives a teaching, and then their students give a teaching, and then their students, and so on. And we're watching the Torah be passed from generation to generation over a chapter of text. Pirkei Avot comes as a part of the Mishnah, and it's an interesting part of Mishnah because there is no Gemara attached to it. There's no natural in-text commentary. There's plenty of commentary that has happened over the centuries, but it doesn't have that Talmud feel to it. It's also written in Hebrew, and the other parts of the Talmud are written in Aramaic. So it's a little bit more understandable to the modern Hebrew speaker. So all of this is to say, the section I want to look at is chapter 1, verse 10, which says, Shemaiah and Avtalion, who are two rabbis of a generation together, received Torah from them, meaning their teachers. Shemaiah used to say, love work, hate acting the superior, and do not attempt to draw near to the ruling authority. Now, I'm reading the translation by Dr. Joshua Culp that I took off of Sefaria, but I want to add that every translation is an interpretation, and that was said in the last episode, and I had to bite my tongue at that point. So I want to retranslate the last few words. The Hebrew is Ve'al titvada l'rashut. So rashut is translated as ruling authority. It means government. So I don't think there was a need to make it a little more vague or whatever. But titvada is an interesting word because it means become known. So do not attempt to draw near is how it's translated, but it could also be translated as do not become familiar friends, which is how Doctors Kravitz and Olitsky translated in their translation of Pirkei Avot. I like to translate it as do not become bedfellows with the government. And the reason I like bedfellows is because titvada comes from the root word that means to know. And it is to know in that biblical sense. So don't become bedfellows to me works in that like a real intimate closeness to those who are in the ruling class. So Now that I've given you my love of Pirkei Avot and my interpretation, I would hope that giving my hand a little bit, since this is the phrase that I'm so focused on, what property do we want to smash this with?
Is it Captain America Civil War?
Mhm.
It is not.
I'll preempt the question. Is it a TV series?
It is.
Are we going to be talking about Daredevil Born Again?
We are.
Yeah.
And I totally tipped my hand in the last episode. So I hope I kind of hope that was helpful, because I thought this would be difficult just coming in.
If you didn't say a Marvel show in the last one, I don't know if I would. I very well may have, because I, watched it semi recently. But cool. Yeah, let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's start with.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, dude!
I was gonna say that's where we have to start. Is have we seen it?
Yeah, it came out during the slide into the summer.
No. So
Yeah,
this will be a spoiler alert episode, likely, for not just Ethan, but any other camp professional.
And I can take spoilers for Daredevil.
It came out March and April.
That hurt a little bit, but okay.
It came out in March and April of this year. Yeah.
Daredevil has long been one of my favorite heroes. He's up there with Batman and the Tick, and it also allows me to get the trifecta that I have a favorite in 3 different publishing companies. But
I thought you were talking about different animals.
Batman, the Tick, and Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah.
So the Daredevil comics are often geared towards, as far as religions go, our Catholic friends. Matt Murdock is a devout practicing Catholic. The title of the series, Born Again, is definitely reeks of Christology, but it's got this, and we're talk about spoiler alerts. We're going to go right to the end, because this really comes to fruition in the finale. Now, I will say the series centers around a time that is in the comic books where Fisk, known as the Kingpin, is mayor of New York. Say what you will about whether that's an improvement or not in today's world. In the comic books, having a villain as mayor is one of those crazy ideas that can only happen in worlds where, Fisk becomes mayor or Luthor becomes president. It's one of those moments of, this person has way too much power, and they only use it for their own good and their own aims. Oh, maybe it's not only in the fictional world, but that's another story for another time. Let's stick to the comic books. So, Barak, that look on your face is like, am I going to cut this out?
I will keep that, because there's part of this I will bring up in a as neutral way as I can later. So it's good.
Okay. So when Fisk is mayor in Daredevil Born Again, and the same is true when Luthor is president in the Superman comics, but we're not going to focus on that today. This is the point where we find the problem with trusting the government to the point where we would make them bedfellows. It is okay to have faith and trust in the government. It is not okay to tie one's fate to the government. And I think that's
what the portion
line.
says. Is that what the portion says? Don't tie your fate to the government?
No, it says, do not, in my translation, do not become bedfellows with the government.
Okay.
That's my translation. The Olitsky Kravitz translation of don't become familiar friends, I think, is maybe a slightly more family-friendly way to put it, but I don't think there's a problem my way either.
I never realized that the Torah was so libertarian. I didn't think that, this is a very politicized portion. I never heard this before.
Yeah, keep in mind this is part of the Mishnah.
Yeah.
It's not Torah.
Okay.
Not Torah specifically.
Yeah.
But the rabbis in their own time periods, which you really get a flavor of in Pirkei Avot, they are dealing with very real issues. And some of those real issues include injustices of the ruling class.
Is it because the Torah lists out essentially our rule of law as we should? And so this is Judaism saying, don't get too close to the government because they've got their own set of rules. You should really be following the Jewish set of rules.
That to me sounds a little too Hamanistic.
Sure.
I think the reverse of that is Haman's statement of there's this group of people and they have their own rules that they follow. So I would hesitate to flat out say yes,
It's
but
a strong statement to say don't be friends with the government. Like libraries are wonderful, right?
right, that's why it's a fine line. And
Yeah.
it
It
doesn't say
depends on
don't
who
be
you
friends with
ask.
them. Again, it doesn't say don't be friends with them at all.
Yeah.
It says don't become overly familiar in a very intimate and personal way.
Huh. Okay.
And that's the thing about Hebrew is that word titvada has such implications to it that you could translate this as don't know the government or don't become known to the government, both of
Mm.
which have very different and very realistic political
Right.
consequences. So, Daredevil Born Again, Fisk is mayor. Daredevil knows that Fisk is evil, knows that there's a problem, and struggles to show everybody else because he's the mayor. What do you mean? This is the person that was elected by the people to become ruler of the city. Now, we learn from the TV series pretty early on that the whole reason that he became mayor, the whole reason that he disconnected from, well, the whole reason that he quote unquote disconnected from his criminal activities and even disconnected from his wife in the TV series and the comic books to focus on politics, it all had an underpinning criminal intent.
Yeah.
And that was to control the docks, the little piece of land that had no real ownership and therefore no
Oversight.
possibility.
Yeah.
What?
Oversight.
Yeah, no oversight, no possibility for government interference in whatever activities are going on there. So we know this as viewers. Daredevil feels it because he knows in his, we'll say, kishkis that anything Fisk does is criminal, and he's correct.
His
But
Kishka sense was tingling.
his kishka sense was tingling. And yet he can't prove it to anybody because his proof is always in stuff like, I can hear your heartbeat changing.
Yeah.
And he can't let anyone else hear that because it's not recorded. But there are other people who have bad feelings, and a lot of them end up very dead, including the police commissioner. In one of the scenes in the finale, he says, first he gets the force, meaning the police force. Crime spikes, probably due to friends of his, which shows us that the police commissioner knows that he's still in league with the criminal element of Hell's Kitchen. And then he turns a bunch of rogue cops into his own personal mission, turns them against the vigilantes. So in this little monologue, the police commissioner is telling us the whole plot of the entire series up to this point. Fisk has made it legal to hunt vigilantes, illegal to be a vigilante, and thereby he is taking away his competition in the crime world. He's taking away anyone who would stop him from doing crimes.
Are there other Jewish texts that explore relation to government?
Well, I'm not even thinking about Jewish texts. Like, where did someone get the idea to have a criminal elected into power and then taking a police force to hunt people he doesn't like?
Yeah, so we
Where
could
would someone get that idea?
Yeah.
Ethan?
we talked about this in I forget which episode it was. It was probably a few weeks or months back where I said I was having a real issue watching some shows because there were so many shows that I was watching that just felt too close to home. Right? We talked about it with Andor, right?
Right.
And I said there's other shows. Daredevil Born Again is one of those shows that felt too real of what was happening. And here's what I'll say. I'm going to try to say this as neutral as possible.
Okay.
Right? We just sort of said a lot of the things, but these are factual things, right? Somebody who is convicted by the courts as a criminal is elected into a place of power. This happened in real life. The people who behaved badly towards the government or towards other people are then placed in positions of power, right? If you are not aware, there are members of the January who were at the Capitol on January 6th who have been made into ICE agents in real life.
I think
And
once you get that specific, you're not being neutral, but please continue.
they were people convicted and then pardoned and then placed on a police force, on a legal force, right? And are given power over others. That happened in the show, that happened in real life.
Mhm.
I don't think it is a neutral statement to say that those events happened. I didn't say anything about their character. They were convicted,
Okay.
they were pardoned, and then they were placed in an
Yeah.
authoritarian role.
And I
Yeah.
agree with you. I
Yeah.
just don't know that it's neutral.
Right. So, and then
If you want me to go not neutral so it makes Barak look
I don't
neutral, I'll
want-
happily do that.
that's okay.
I know, me too.
Right. In the show, he utilizes his place of power for his own financial benefit, which, right, Trump just announced a new phone that he is making, right?
But they only have a drawing of it. So talk
Fine.
about a scam.
Right. Or fine, he had put out presidential coins for
Mhm.
purchase, right?
Right.
There are things that he's doing in power.
And Bibles.
Right. Things that he's doing with his name, utilizing them
Meme
for money.
coins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In the show, the guy hires those man, we are so slowly getting away far from neutral. I'm so sorry. I want you to
I'm
know,
not sorry. Keep going.
listeners,
I'm not sorry either.
I know, but we have listeners that I feel probably just have all types of opinions, and I want you to know, like, I'm trying very hard to let you stay a listener.
Torah Smash
here-
values people of all opinions,
Yeah.
even racists.
Great.
So you're welcome here on this
Wow.
podcast.
Wow. That I wouldn't go so far as to call our listeners names, but here's what I will say.
Wait, hold on, Ethan. Did you want another take, or am I just
No.
letting? I don't know if I'm keeping
I
that.
love you, Ethan.
We've that.
Um,
I don't want to call our listeners racist.
I think there's
If they're racist, then I will call them racists.
I
But
get
okay.
it. I get it.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling racist, but I think that many people who have racist tendencies either aren't aware of it or argue them away or make excuses or that kind of thing. So when they're confronted with it, their reaction might be getting insulted.
Yeah. So overall, we can keep diving into how emotional I got while watching this because of how close it felt to reality. And I will say that there is also, right, the new Homelander principle that has sort of come up, where the Anthony Starr, the actor who plays Homelander, has had to come out and say, "Hey, viewers, Homelander is a villain. He's not doing good things. You're rooting for the villain because people think Homelander is the hero of that story, because the world today many people have very differing views on how to handle disagreements, and they like that Homelander murders and gets rid of his enemies, and so I'm assuming that Vincent D'Onofrio similarly has to say to people, hey, Fisk is the villain, right? Like, he's doing things that are benefiting him in a way that's very realistic to a lot of stuff that's going on. And I assume that if Homelander has people rooting for them, that Fisk probably has people rooting for him.
Let me throw a little more darkness into the light of clearly good and evil.
Yeah.
The Punisher,
Yeah.
who is a part of Daredevil Born Again, quite a large part. He is in this kind of, I don't know, triple conundrum.
Yeah.
Where on the one hand, many readers of the Punisher misunderstand how against violence he is, because Frank Castle does not want anyone to use violence to solve their problems. He's got anger issues. He even says in the finale of Daredevil Born Again, like, you have not felt my pain, you don't understand. And that's not an excuse for his violence on my part, but it's where he goes to talk about himself, is nobody gets him. But why does he say nobody gets him? Because these quote unquote police officers, who are, in the words of the commissioner, the worst of the bunch, these are people who are putting the Punisher logo on their bullets.
Yeah.
They are using him as a role model because they completely misinterpret him. So here he is. Yes, he does not have a code against killing, which is one of these. Code against killing is one of the things that makes superhero comics special because they can do all of this powerful stuff and do not kill the people they're trying to stop from doing crimes, at least not intentionally. So Daredevil has a code against killing. He does not. He has faith in the system of justice. He is a lawyer after all, and he is a religious person, as we mentioned earlier. So he is against murder, and he would certainly rather let someone live. And I would, and now me putting my own religious views onto Daredevil, allow them to repent instead of be killed. Because if you're dead, you cannot fix yourself. So
Yeah, he struggled a lot with that this season. A
yes,
big piece. Right. We talked in last episode about like that. There hasn't been great Marvel stuff. I struggled with this one. Aside from this one being difficult to watch, I struggled with understanding Daredevil's character arc in terms
yeah,
of why he does certain things that he does that felt out of character with his struggle.
yeah. There's a long story in the Daredevil comics where he falls in with the Hand and
Yeah.
eventually becomes their leader. And it's a great story, but and actually that's where I thought it was going at the end, but it turned out to not. They allow him to go through a lot of moral struggle.
Hmm.
And while he doesn't want to kill, it was the fact that he did want to kill in the series premiere when sorry, Ethan, when he throws, I'm going to call him Bullseye, off of the building. He's never called Bullseye in this show. And I don't know if it's because of a rights thing with the terrible movie that came out years ago, or if it's that they just wanted to imply instead of calling, or if this is an origin story or something else. They never call him Bullseye, but he's Bullseye.
Dex.
And
They call him Dex for Poindexter.
Poindexter, Michael Poindexter,
Benjamin.
Benjamin Poindexter. So Benjamin Poindexter is clearly Bullseye. In the beginning of the season, when Daredevil finds, I'll say Poindexter, and throws him off the roof, he says later he wanted to kill him. But that is also the point where Daredevil says, I can't be Daredevil anymore. Because if I'm going to start killing people, then that crosses a line that I'm not willing to cross. And therefore, I am willing to give up the mantle of Hell's Kitchen's hero in order to be ethically and morally true to myself.
Yeah.
This is one of the big struggles about living a life of studying and trying to follow Torah. Because there's so much in this world that makes us angry and upset and makes us want to just say, I mean, so many years ago, people would say things like, well, why don't they just kill all of the fill in the blank bad actors in the world? And the answer is because it's not the right thing to do.
The relationship with the government in this show, right? Let me go back to the text a little bit.
Yeah.
Daredevil really doesn't struggle with it too much. It's prevalent in terms that obviously, based on the text, Fisk is a bad person because he takes government to use it for his full advantage.
I mean, he was. I don't want to derail us, but like, there's also the like interplay of like the previous Daredevil show and like how canon is that compared to this.
I think it's canon.
I think
if it is, then like it's super
Yeah.
clear that like besides the fact that he is the villain, like we the viewer know.
Yeah. Well, it starts right. Episode
Yeah.
1, we have Foggy and we have Paige. Like it feels like they use a continuation from the Defenders Netflix series. And I just heard rumors that whether it be the original actors or new characters, that many of those Defender characters will show up in Daredevil season 2.
Well, we know Jessica
Yeah.
Jones is back, and I am beside myself with
nice.
joy.
Me too. Yeah, Jessica
Okay.
Jones is in some of the trailers.
Oh, I've not watched there's trailers already for season 2?
It's not so much trailers so much as like they're filming publicly, and Kristen Ritter is there in costume as
so
Jessica
good.
Jones.
Can we talk
Yeah,
about the end of the season? And
Which
a Daredevil Born Again.
yeah.
Yes, you have my blessing.
So there's a lot of things that I like didn't make this a really great show for me. And one of them was the ending, is that I know he was in bad shape. Daredevil has a lot of things to his advantage, and he's going to go and attack the base of operations and is told, no, you can't do this on your own. He has an army. You've got to get an army. It's a great cliffhanger. It's a great tease of why you have to watch season 2. And I'm curious.
Sorry, I just want to support your point here, but
Yeah.
Frank Castle tries to go in on his own and gets captured. So absolutely, Karen was right.
Yeah, and he was right, and Daredevil was in bad shape. But I think Daredevil is also, and he was also not focused well. He was struggling, I think, emotionally and in other ways that I think Daredevil 100% could Black Ops this in a night and take people out one at a time until he gets to Kingpin. He's done it in other ways. Like in the original series, he absolutely did that in the mansion and was able to work his way through all these bodyguards. Like he can. He absolutely can. He just needs to give himself a break. Don't do it tonight. Recoup. Come back in a week and handle this. Like I don't think he needs an army. I think he just needs to be at top of his game. So I'm curious of who he's bringing in. There's a part of me that thinks like we're going to get a bunch of New York heroes, which currently includes Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a big name, so I don't think he would become part, and he like hates being a leader. Like Spider-Man he often is thrown into the leader role, but doesn't like to be that person.
Have y'all seen the Spider-Man movie news from this morning?
No. Again, we're in middle end of June, so you all probably have different information, but go ahead, Ethan.
The Punisher is going to be in the upcoming Spider-Man film.
Oh,
what?
That's fun. So
like the Punisher that we know, like the same actor?
Yeah.
Yes.
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal is the best Punisher. He's so good.
So I'm curious.
Except for all of the grunting. I thought I wasn't happy with the like in this series.
But I think that came off of Daredevil's success of the realistic fighting from like season 1 of the Netflix stuff. Then every show, like I think the Punisher series followed that. Let's be realistic about how hard this is, and Frank Castle in that like just had a lot of grunting. But I'm really excited about the possibility of what New York based heroes end up showing up in season 2 of Daredevil, right? As I said, I think we're getting the Defenders back, which would be really great. Yeah. I would love to see Spider-Man. I would love to see some of the X-Men. They've got a New York base and haven't been introduced yet in this universe, so who knows?
Fantastic Four.
Right. Well, it looks like it's a flashback, although if you stayed for the post-credits of the Thunderbolts movie, maybe not. But I'm excited what that means. I was just upset that we were building to this. We've got to take the Kingpin down, and it didn't happen. And
since the Fantastic Four movie has not come out since the recording, but it will be out when the show comes out.
Yeah,
this will be extra fun because if I'm right, it's already happened, and if I'm wrong,
theories.
We can all laugh at me.
Yes.
I think it's going to start out in the like 1950s, 60s kind of vibe. And then, and most of what we've seen in the previews, I think is going to be early in the movie. And the movie itself is going to take place in today times.
Here, can I give another? I have a theory.
Interesting.
I have another theory. I think this is, oh man, I don't remember the name. I think this is going to follow the comic series that came out, where it followed the Fantastic Four of these warnings of Galactus. And it was like a decades-long series that I think Galactus will show up. I think the Silver Surfer will show up and give warning as the herald of Galactus. And that the Fantastic Four...
We already know that from the previews.
We do know that. And Silver Surfer always shows up saying, hey, just so you know, Galactus is coming. Heads up. Right. I don't know why he does that, but he does it.
Because she in this particular film is the Herald of Galactus, like you just said.
Yeah, but I don't know why Galactus gives a heads up. Like, just show up and do your thing. Anyway, I think that my theory is that the Fantastic Four will have this warning. He will not show up immediately, and that Reed Richards will utilize time travel to try to, I think, either go forward, collect heroes, come back to battle Galactus when the time has come, or jump time to make sure that he is there, because Reed Richards has to do things himself, make sure that he is there at the arrival of Galactus to save the Earth, because there's no way anybody else could do this.
I love it. I love your theories. Okay, let's get back to both Daredevil
Yeah.
and text.
Yes.
So the whole point of the text is don't become a familiar friend of the government. Don't become bedfellows with the government. Daniel Blake is a character in the series who starts off as a bumbling kind of like, I'm really a fan of Wilson Fisk type of intern who works his way up very, very quickly to be in the inner circle of Fisk's cabinet. I think he is the embodiment of the warning that Pirkei Avot is trying to stop from happening. Here's this kid. He's got a little moral ambiguity because he starts off all right. Like he starts off seeming misguided. Like, I really like the mayor and I want to do whatever I can to help. And then when he realizes what's really going on and he has this moment where he could go one way or the other, he chooses Fisk. And this is the problem with putting too much faith in leadership when they are leading the wrong way. This is exactly what Pirkei Avot is warning us against. It is the difference between a legitimate system of power who's got a lot of power and a cult. Because in a system of government, a system of ruling, the people who are all for the party, the system, are fans of the system. They are faithful to the system and will do anything they can for democracy, we'll say. Whereas the followers of a cult will do anything in their power to help the leader.
Bassett. But it sounds like
That
the
checks
text.
out.
Yeah, I like that. But it sounds like the text leans more towards the like not getting to bed with the government. It doesn't specify the people. It sounds like it's against the structure, the things that
And that's where we get into translation issues again, because rashut, which is the word that I've been translating as government, can also mean government officials.
Okay. Right. I think therein lies the difference. Right. And
Yeah.
this changes my interpretation of the text in that I agree with what you just said of there's a system of laws and things in place. And then there are people who help to enact those things.
Right.
The people, like in a democracy as we have, are elected and change over every few years, whereas the
Mhm.
system itself has checks and balances and also changes, but is harder to do so because of democracy, right? And so
Right.
and not that the system is always right? We had to work through slavery and women's rights and civil rights and trans rights, like all of these pieces. Our system changes that oftentimes are assigned to people instead of government, of the people's beliefs versus the government's beliefs, right? And so therein lies
Right.
the battle there. So I do like the interpretation, and the way that the series attacks this is that there is a system and people are taking advantage of said system.
Right. And that's what happens when you're in bed with it
Yeah.
and not a supporter of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, it's a line, and sometimes the line is thin and gray, but when it comes to comic books, it's easier to see the line.
Yeah. Fun fact for those curious: the Daniel Blake character is played by Michael Gandolfini, who is James
Yeah.
Gandolfini's son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. Who was a mobster in another show, if
Sure.
you are not familiar with The Sopranos.
Can I share the thing that I
Yeah.
struggle most with in the series?
Please.
Huge spoiler alert. I am so sorry about this one. There's a part of me that gets it, but story-wise, I don't know why Daredevil sacrificed himself for the Kingpin. I still
That is so Daredevil.
There are other ways for him to deflect a bullet. There are other ways instead of jumping in front on his own. This is the same issue I have with the end of the series. he has such a mental capacity for other things, and like mentally, he was in a different space in this series. But he did not need to jump in front of that bullet himself. It was drama driven and didn't feel character driven to me.
I understandably disagree.
Okay, great.
Because he's dancing with Heather. He may or may not have his cane on him, which would be the other way to deflect the bullet.
Yeah, I do
If
not
he's
recall.
dancing, she's led him to the dance floor. I don't recall either, but I could easily logic out why he wouldn't have his cane on him. And there is very little time between that exhale of a sniper preparing to fire to the click of the trigger starting to pull back to the bullet flying out. Very, very, very little time. And so for him to just throw himself in front of Fisk, it does seem in character. Plus, someone says to him while he's in the hospital, "What the heck? Why did you do that?" And he says, "I didn't think. I just acted," which is also very Daredevil. Save people. And even if he had thought it through, I would be willing to bet that Matt Murdock errs on the side of saving a life, even if it's Wilson Fisk.
No, I don't disagree with saving the life. I disagree with taking the bullet. I think he could have fake tripped.
Yeah.
He's clumsy, he's blind. Fake trip and knock over Fisk. Take it in the shoulder.
Fisk is huge. It takes a tremendous amount of effort to move him.
Yeah.
So and they're on a dance floor. There's no furniture.
Yeah, he's right. I totally hear it. I just drama. I just struggled with it. Him taking the bullet himself. But I think his
so did he.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. And his struggle of it also added a great tension of like how can Fisk say anything now? This vigilante who he's trying to take down just risked himself for Fisk. Right? There's that balance.
But what does he say?
I don't remember.
He says, "Better a dead hero than a live vigilante." He sends his number 2 to kill Matt Murdock in the hospital.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, this falls similar to Flash for me, whereas it was very entertaining, and I wish there were parts of it that were different. Some of it felt like the nostalgia throwback, like, hey, if you were around and watched the Netflix shows, guess what? Paige and Foggy are going to be back, right? And they'll make appearances and flashbacks and comebacks and what all these pieces and I don't know if it didn't land 100% for me. I still struggled with a lot of the story.
That's fine.
It was entertaining, very entertaining.
Yeah, no, I loved it. And again, like I might love it for the reasons that you described in the last episode why you love Jack and Jill.
Sure.
You know, like
please don't take that out of context. Listeners, please go back and listen to
because I'm a blind lawyer.
Yeah.
No, but because I have such love for the character.
Sure.
Because he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I might be a little more willing to forgive some of the things that others might find hokey or not as entertaining.
Yeah.
I thought it was a very good series, and I feel like we are on the redemption trail. Not redeemed yet, but I can see redemption for the Marvel universe in our
I'll buy that. 100%.
This is very much on my post-camp watch list. I just need to be I know I need to be in the right mental space for it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then let's go back to the text. The very next statement in Pirkei Avot. So we started off talking about chapter 1, verse 10. Chapter 1, verse 11 has Avtalion, who is the counterpart to Shemaiah in the generations of sages. And Shemaiah said the first thing. So Avtalion says, "Sages, be careful with your words, lest you incur the penalty of exile and be carried off to a place of evil waters." So what he's saying is, yes, maybe don't become the faithful friend of the government. Don't become too much in bed with them, but don't get caught speaking out against them because they have the power to do bad things. So this is, again, it's a highly interpretive way to look at this particular verse, but be careful with your words alone is always true in Jewish parlance. Like being careful with one's words is what the whole notion of not doing Lashon Hara is all about. It being aware that you have, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. So you have to be twice as careful. But if you look at it as directly following "Don't become a bedfellow of the government," it does ring of like you can't just go out and accuse the mayor of murder in public.
Right.
You have to really make sure you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When we think about like how we should behave in accordance with the government, I think it's important to be able to trust the government. I think it's important to have faith in the system. Look at our system where we have an election and the people who actually vote for, in this example that I'm giving, the president, are supposed to vote the way we want them to. And according to all evidence that I'm aware of, they do. And it would certainly be better to be strictly democratic, where like our votes count towards the person we want to be in charge, and it doesn't matter what state or district we're in, it's just fully tallied. That I think would work better, but it's not the system we have right now. And if we have a problem with the way our government is working and we speak out against it, there are good ways to do it and bad ways to do it. The bad way to do it is social media, because it fixes nothing and only people who agree with you ever really hear you. But a good way to do it is to go talk to our leaders, talk to our elected officials, talk to people who are in charge even at a lower level, because the most powerful tool in a democracy is our own voice. And the rabbis know this. And they say to be careful of our using our own voice, especially in a world where the government is corrupt, because that's where you really put yourself at risk. And they're dealing with the Roman government, which is doing everything it can to stop Jews from being Jewish. And so there's this real need to fix the system, but not get caught doing it. And in our world, that's a little bit of an overdramatic way to phrase it, but we still need to use our voice in the right way at the right time and stand up for what we believe in and fight for what's right. Both Daredevil and Kingpin want to change the city. That's what their desire is. Daredevil wants to change it for the good. He wants to cancel out all the darkness, so to speak. And near the end of the series, he has a conversation with Karen, and she reminds him that she asked him a long time ago, what is it like to be in all that darkness? And his response was, it's like 1,000 suns. It's not dark. And that is the light that she brings to the conversation. It's Daredevil's ability to bring the city back is raising an army that you brought up, Barak. So when they're changing the city, they need to do it the right way. What Fisk does, Fisk offers Heather, Matt Murdock's girlfriend throughout this series, a position in the government. He offers her the position of commissioner of mental health, and she accepts. So she lands on a different side than Murdock/Daredevil. She also shows us the moment where she breaks the rabbi's rule. That's the moment where she becomes a bedfellow of the government, because she knows that there are nefarious things going on with the government, and she still says yes.
Well, she's also one of those people who's on the outskirts of sort of unsure but leaning towards vigilantes are bad, or else why would they hide themselves? And so the fact that that is Fisk's viewpoint, she's able to align with him more easily because they have a common ground. And so she doesn't understand.
Yeah, she is exemplifying what I would call my problem with one issue voters.
Right.
She's not taking the whole thing into account.
Yeah.
Anything else, either of you? Ethan, I'm so sorry that we're
No,
ruining.
I'm excited to watch it. Again, it's on my list. I just need to get through I need to be in the right time,
Yeah. So Fisk, at the end of the series, he names a new martial law called the Safe Streets Initiative, which is named to sound nice. We all want safe streets. Just like in the real world, we all want life, even though choosing, being anti-abortion and pro-life don't always match. The same thing, naming it Safe Streets and then declaring martial law does not match. The name Safe Streets Initiative puts a curfew of 8 p.m. on Hell's Kitchen. It allows the martial law. And then he says it's because I love New York. It's incredibly confusing when we see all sides, but this can be how government works. We name things to sound one way in order to push an agenda. And if we take them at their word, it is we who will be taken. Daredevil struggles with the darkness and the light, and when overtaken by grief, he can find it easy to give in, which is exactly what happens with powerful governments. When they see problems, they play on our fears. They help us take the easy way out by presenting pretty names for dangerous solutions. It's up to us to pay attention beyond the names and not become bedfellows of the government. Daredevil knows this with Karen's help. We know this with the help from Pirkei Avot. Daredevil says, resist, rebel, rebuild without fear. That's how to be the heroes.
Yeah, man, without fear.
Sounds good to me.
That'll do it for this episode of Torah Smash. Our fiscal sponsor is Jewish Creativity International. Our theme music was created by Sean Fogel. You can check out Sean's bands and studio work at www.thesleepywest.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to rate and review us wherever you listen. It helps others find us and is an excellent way to support the podcast. Even if you disagree with us, please send us an email. We want to hear from you and continue today's nerdy discussion. Go to torahsmash.com to find where to connect with us online, purchase swag from our store, support us with a donation, find previous episodes, and more. And Daredevil might be the man without fear, but let's be honest, he's never faced a room full of Jewish grandmothers asking why he's still single.
I will keep everything except the even racist. Take it away.